ever get that feeling like there's got to be more to life than, just what we see on the surface?
Oh, absolutely.
Like some deeper meaning hiding in plain sight,
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to get stuck in the day-to-day and completely miss the extraordinary stuff right under our noses.
Exactly. And that is what we are diving into today.
Okay, sounds good.
We've got excerpts from this text.
Okay.
It's all about finding, the divine in every single moment, even the ones that just seem totally mundane.
Right. And this isn't just, airy-fairy spirituality.
Right.
The text actually argues that really recognizing this divine presence, it can actually change your life, can lead to a richer, more meaningful life.
Okay, so what does it give us, a secret handshake for the universe or something?
Well, not exactly a handshake, but it's more like each moment, right? Each moment is like a direct message from the divine.
Okay.
It's an opportunity for us to grow, connect, really understand where we fit in the grand scheme of things.
So instead of me rushing through my to-do list, I should be treating each thing like it's like a divine decree.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Grocery shopping just got a lot more intense.
Think of it less like a to-do list and more like a treasure hunt.
Okay.
The text uses this really great metaphor. It calls the present moment the ambassador of God.
Okay. I'm picturing a very official looking ambassador,
Yeah.
Showing up with a message, but I'm too busy scrolling through, cat videos to notice.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's getting at. It's like, hey, the message is right here. Are you even paying attention?
Yeah.
It's about being present, really, truly present, quieting all the noise, letting go of the past, letting go of that future, just being here now.
Which, let's be real, way harder than it sounds.
Okay.
But, okay, say I wrangle my brain into submission. I'm present. What about those not so great moments, like the heartbreaks, disappointments, that kind of stuff? Are those divine messages too? Because that feels a little rough.
See, that's where it gets really interesting. The text says everything good, bad, action, stillness, it can all be a tool for spiritual growth.
Okay.
A path toward what it calls sanctity.
Hold on. Sanctity. Becoming a saint. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not qualified for that.
It's not about fitting this rigid definition of what a saint is.
Okay.
It's more, the text uses sanctity to describe a way of being, approaching life with reverence.
Okay.
Seeing that divine spark in everything.
So even a screaming toddler at the grocery store can be a pathway to sanctity. That's a tough sell, but okay. I'm listening. How does that work exactly?
It's all about shifting your perspective.
Okay.
Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles, just roadblocks, the text wants us to see them as opportunities.
Okay.
Opportunities for us to learn, to deepen our connection with the divine.
So it's not about pretending everything's sunshine and rainbows. It's about finding the growth opportunity in the midst of, life.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's about trusting that even when things are hard, there's a higher purpose at play. We might not always see it.
Yeah. It's easy to feel connected to something bigger when everything's going great, right? But when life throws curveballs.
Yeah.
Speaking of, the text mentions the divine will taking on different characters.
Right.
What's that all about?
Okay, so it's like this, the divine will is this unified force, right?
Okay.
But it expresses itself in a million different ways.
Right.
The text compares it to an actor. The actor's playing different roles.
Okay.
Each experience we have, whether it's joyful, painful, whatever, it's another character that the divine will is embodying.
So even when life feels really messy, chaotic, it's still part of some bigger, divinely orchestrated plan, even if I don't get the reasoning behind it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this leads us to one of the central points of the text, really aligning ourselves with that divine will, even when it's hard, even when we don't want to. That acceptance, that surrender, it's the key to finding real peace and fulfillment.
I can see how that'd be really powerful, but also really challenging. It's so easy to resist what's happening, especially when it's painful. How do you actually put that idea of surrender into practice?
Well, the text uses a very powerful example of the story of Job.
Okay.
I mean, here's a man facing unimaginable loss and suffering, and yet he still blessed God's name.
Yeah.
Talk about commitment to acceptance.
Wow, Job's story. I mean, that's intense. Really makes you think about what faith really means, right?
Yeah.
Trusting in something bigger, even when you can't see the whole picture. Wow.
It's a powerful example of, finding that strength, that resilience, when things are just falling apart.
Yeah.
The text suggests that it's this radical acceptance, this surrender to the divine will, that can actually bring real peace.
It's like instead of fighting against the current, you're kind of learning to flow with it, even if you don't know where it's taking you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like trusting that the river of life, right, even with all its crazy twists and turns, it's ultimately leading you exactly where you need to be.
Okay, I'm trying to like wrap my head around all of this.
Yeah.
So every moment is this divine message, this chance for growth, right? How do we actually like start to understand these messages?
Well, the text talks about this idea of hallowing God's name. I know it sounds, kind of old-fashioned,
right?
But it's actually a very active practice.
Okay, so what does hallowing actually mean? Does it involve chanting or something?
No, it's less about rituals and more about just shifting how we see things.
Okay.
Recognizing that divine presence in every single experience, and then like responding from this place of awe, love, gratitude, all of it.
So like taking a second to really appreciate, I don't know, like the perfect foam on your latte, or like noticing like the crazy complexity of a spider web.
Yes, exactly. Those little moments, those little shifts in how we see things, that's how you start to see like the divine spark in everything.
So instead of just rushing through my day, like totally on autopilot, I need to be more present, more aware, like actually thinking about how I'm experiencing each moment.
Yeah. Just savoring the simple things, approaching everything with an open heart.
Yeah.
Finding that joy in those tiny little details we usually just miss.
It's funny, we started talking about like these big concepts, right? Like divine will, sanctity, all that. But it really comes down to how we experience these little everyday things.
That's what's so cool about it. It's not about these big, mystical experiences. It's the extraordinary and the ordinary.
It's like we're surrounded by miracles constantly. We're just too busy to see them.
And the text argues that when you start to approach life with that sense of wonder, that reverence, everything changes. Like your relationships become deeper, work becomes more meaningful.
Yeah.
Even the tough stuff, it all takes on a new meaning.
It's like you're putting on these new glasses and suddenly you can see like this whole hidden dimension to reality.
Exactly. You start to see how everything's connected, right? Every action, thought, even just like running into someone on the street, it all ripples outwards.
So it's not enough to just like notice the divine. It's about actively taking part.
Absolutely. This hallowing, it's like we get to co-create with the universe.
Yeah.
We get to align our actions with our values, expressing our gifts, and just making the world a little bit better, a little more compassionate.
So how do we actually do that? How do we become these like conscious co-creators? How do we get in tune with that divine spark inside us and all around us?
I think it starts with what we were talking about before, that shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Choosing to see the world, not as just a bunch of random things happening, but as this divinely orchestrated symphony.
Okay.
Every single moment, filled with purpose, with potential.
Okay. No more complaining about traffic then. It's all part of the divine symphony, right?
Right.
But really, how do we hold on to that when things get tough? When the symphony starts to sound a little bit more like, I don't know, a heavy metal concert?
That's where trust comes in. Trusting that even when we don't get it, when we don't understand the why, the how, there's this higher intelligence. It's guiding us, supporting us, and loving us unconditionally.
Like we just got to surrender to the dance, even when we don't know the steps.
Exactly. And that surrender, that willingness to let go, to trust in something bigger, that's where we find real freedom, real joy.
This is making me think about those times when like I'm feeling lost, unsure. Does the text say anything about like how to tap into that divine guidance? Like how do we actually hear the music?
Well, it uses this really cool analogy. It says divine actions are like words.
Okay.
And it challenges us to like learn how to read those words, how to understand the messages in our experiences.
Wait, so life is like a giant divine text message and I'm supposed to be like interpreting it. I can barely keep up with my inbox as it is. But seriously, how do we actually learn to read these messages?
It starts by paying attention, really being present, noticing the synchronicities, the gut feelings,
Yeah.
all those subtle signs, they're always there guiding us.
So it's about like tuning into that intuition, that inner voice that somehow knows the truth, even when our brains are trying to like drown it out.
Yes, exactly. Cultivating that inner stillness, listening to your heart, trusting that deep wisdom that comes from within.
Okay. This is all resonating, but I gotta ask, what about, free will? If everything is like divinely orchestrated, what about our choices? What about what we want?
That's a great question, and people have been debating that forever. But the text, it seems to suggest that free will, divine will, they're not like mutually exclusive.
So it's not like we're just puppets on a string with some divine being, up there controlling everything we do.
No, not quite. It's more like we have the freedom to choose our path. Right.
Okay.
But the divine is always there, orchestrating circumstances, giving us opportunities, just gently kind of guiding us towards our own potential.
So it's like this cosmic dance where we're leading, we're being led.
You got it. It's this balance between effort and surrender, action and just like allowing things to be.
It's like we have this power, right, to like co-create with the divine and make our lives, make the world like more beautiful, more compassionate, just more meaningful.
It's true. And that makes me think of this really interesting question that the text asks. So if our lives are like this conversation, this back and forth with the divine, what are we saying? What message are we putting out there? What story are we telling with our actions, our choices, all of it?
Whoa. Okay, so it's not enough to just get the messages. We have to be mindful of what we're sending back out.
Exactly. Like imagine your life as a book. Yeah. What would the title be? What would people say about the main character? About you after reading it?
Okay. That's powerful. And a little scary, to be honest. What if, like, my book is just boring or worse? What if it's just, like, all drama all the time?
Well, every good story needs some conflict, right?
Yeah.
It's all about how that character, how they respond to those challenges.
True.
We all have that potential for both, right? For darkness, for light. It's about choosing to lead with light.
So we got to be intentional, right? About the kind of energy we're putting out into the world. Like in everything, the choices, little interactions, all of it, it's like we're constantly adding new chapters.
And each one of those chapters, those moments, becomes this chance to, I don't know, to like use our gifts, to make a difference, to be part of something bigger. Even the smallest thing can cause a ripple effect.
So it's not about waiting for like this big, grand moment to make a difference. It's about showing up fully in each moment, like whether we're writing a book, making dinner, or just like really listening to a friend who needs it.
Exactly. Bring that intention, that love, that spark to all of it.
This has been, wow, really eye-opening. I'm like thinking about my own life totally differently, my choices, my impact on the world.
And that's what this whole deep dive is about. It's about helping you connect with this idea that the divine, it's not some, far off thing.
Yeah.
It's here. It's in every single part of our life.
Yeah. It's about like waking up to how sacred this moment is, listening to what our soul is trying to tell us and realizing that we can be part of creating something more beautiful, something more meaningful. And it starts with, one intentional choice, one act of love, one moment at a time.
Beautifully said.